Vodafone presents the pre-match.
It's pre-match time, and it's Luminosity taking on NRG. NRG currently sat third in the standings at the moment. They've had to play a ridiculous amount of games for one team, but they were down to do it. They wanted to make it work. Now they go up against the Luminosity, who we'd pretty much written off. And now they had that game against Cloud9. They win both games. They even win a map they kept losing on in terms of Inferno. Like before we went into it yesterday, we were like, oh yeah, Inferno, Luminosity, not really going to have a chance in this. And they do manage to win out 16-14. But NRG, especially in its current form, is a very different beast.
Yeah, it really raises a lot of questions with yesterday's games because of how Cloud9 are so much better today. You know, were Luminosity as bad as they seem moving into yesterday, or were they actually pretty good and Cloud9 were a little bit worse than they came into the day thinking they would be? And then, were those upsets a little bit more balanced than they appeared? We don't know. We'll have some answers today. We'll see. We'll find out. Does Luminosity keep it up? Because they did take down Cloud9, who beat Liquid today. NRG is going to be a much harder opponent, way more difficult, I think. But I think Steel is all about his game plan. So if there's one good thing to say about his calling, that he seems like he tries to be prepared. Yes. So not going to be easy. Hope to see more than yesterday.
Now, for me, looking at this NRG roster, right, they've had games where we see them keep it a lot closer than times they could have actually run away with it. You don't see the, say, dominant results of like a constant 16-2, 16-6.
It's true.
But they have closer games, but they always edge it out. They play the conventional version of Counter-Strike, right? But going up against the Luminosity, can they allow it to get that close? Because they're so unpredictable. They can be complete wild stylers.
Yeah, they can. And it's hard to say if it's a little bit of a mixture of the fact that it's online, so the pressure's off, so they're not trying as hard, or the fact that they're just playing so many games this week in general. Just, I think it's like over 30 maps already they've played. It's just so many hours. We don't know how long their days have been, or their day was today. But that could play a factor in it as well. I think in general, and we just aren't used to it in a Pro League this season, but I am looking for that 16-5, 16-6 scoreline.
Now, one player I wanted to talk about specifically on the NRG side. We saw Cirque obviously so dominant yesterday. He had these crazy games. It was was it 40 frags in the end, or 35 or something? It was insane.
I don't have that many fingers, James.
The quick maths is not happening here. But at least when we look at this lineup, you speak about Breezy so often. Cirque's in there as well. But Ethan has been such a staple, consistent player across the board.
He's a monster. Yeah, he was a big fish in a small pond on CLG, and he has finally found salvation on this team. NRG has been a lot better to him, and he has delivered. He has not only stood out amongst the stars, because you throw him in, you think, all right, as long as he puts up 70 ADR, he's contributing. We've got Cirque, and we've got, like, Fugly and Depth. They're all going to be pretty good fraggers, but he ends up just taking the star role on full force. He's maybe the best player on the team, and like I think last season he had the best stats on the team. On LAN, he's delivering. So
this is interesting.
I think this is a good one. There we go. He's doing even better so far. It's skewed, obviously.
Yeah, different
88
maps
at the end of a whole season is really fantastic, but he's still on point for it.
Yeah, he can. So if he can keep this up and keep delivering, remember NRG had a lot of games where they played the tougher opponents early on as well.
Oh, I have those backwards. I see. So season 8 is on the right. So he's got,
season 8's now on the right.
Okay, so he's a little bit lower right now, but yeah, he's still on pace.
Yeah. This could still look good, and in games like this against the Luminosity, this is where he needs to shine and do that extra stat padding if he wants to achieve the higher heights here.
Seek out those eco kills. No one's looking.
Oh, yes. No one's going to shut him down over that one. But looking at the straight head-to-head, right, we speak so often in Luminosity about Steel, Henny, Lucas, but Nekiz yesterday in particular, he was delivering in the clutch plays.
He's a monster. Him and Cello, when they were on the former lineups together, they were the two, young star fraggers. And they had trouble on LAN. I think in DreamHack Montreal, they had both had a map where they went 0-14 or something, in the first map, really bad stuff. Yeah. But I think everybody in Brazil knows that they're up and coming, so it was just a matter of time before they really started to make an appearance, and I think we're finally starting to see that. So he can't be slept on. It might be him and Lucas who are the least talked about, but he's got to show up.
And the thing is, when I look back at just NRG and their results, it's Cirque who struggles most on Inferno. Okay, CT side, he can get to work a little bit, but on that T side, he doesn't find his kind of options and openings. You force him onto the rifles a lot of the times. Yeah. And it relies on your players like Breezy and Ethan to come in and actually deliver here. The question is, can NRG do this when they're going to have their backs up against the wall against the Luminosity that aren't really something you can predict still? Because we spoke about Steel, right, being in such a good situation in terms of, oh, okay, look, he prepares, he's a good in-game leader. but he's not delivered so far this season.
Yeah, he's not so far, and on some maps he seems to have a much better game plan. And we talked about, you know, the Secret Service, where he's got his teammates that always follow him around, and they always talk about their CT sides more thoroughly. I think we know that on Nuke T side he did really well yesterday, and that's where he got all his frags. So it's not T side that scares him specifically, but maybe on Inferno that's something that they need to flesh out a little bit more. Well,
joining us back on the desk, Connor and Harry. How are you guys doing after your first game together? Was it a good little bit of enjoyment there? Harry's
great.
Obviously very laboured at this point.
I actually feel great. You know, this is the best I've felt all day. You know, back with Connor, me and him originally casted MDL together, obviously.
Dark time.
It's a way up not just for the players, but also the commentators as well.
There we go. That's a nice little segue into that one. But yeah, this is going to be the game. It's LG versus NRG, a rivalry that goes back almost old as time itself, some might say.
Well, it is time to get into the game, guys. It's time for you to deliver on Inferno. But the question is, which team will deliver now?
I don't have the answer to your questions, James.
Fail.
But
Hopefully.
You haven't been casting the North American Pro League as of late. NRG, I believe, had like 30 online matches this week across multiple.
No, I have still seen that. Yep. That's been news that you cannot dodge.
They have won the vast majority of those. So, quite the showing as of late. Obviously, a lot of work still for them to do, but they've been doing the job so well. There's no reason to believe that they can't do it here tonight versus Luminosity, who was the lowest ranked team as of yesterday. But wow, have they ever turned a new page, and especially in this pistol. It's a crescendo of kills up in Banana.
Yeah, I mean, what a fantastic start here for Luminosity. They're hitting the ground running, as you say. Hasn't been the best of debuts for them up until just recently when they took that was it a 2-0 versus Cloud9, or was it a
2-0 last night?
2-0, that's mental. But yeah, I mean, NRG, if I recall, last season they were the team as well that in EPL and in ECS were both kind of on these flawless winning streaks in the online leagues. It wasn't until the very end that we saw NRG start to have their first few losses, so it doesn't surprise me that they've been doing well here once again. But this round here, one that we can just write off. The buyers coming in for NRG in the next. I'm curious, though, Connor, how have you been feeling about this Luminosity gaming lineup? I haven't seen much from them since they bring in these new players, I'll be honest with you. So this is going to be my first time seeing... I say new, it's been
quite some time.
Yeah, been around for a while. I just haven't really got to see them play all too much.
I mean, again, we kind of had a little bit of conversation about this yesterday before their match with Cloud9, and I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the 5 individual players, but at times it seems like almost the system doesn't work. We'll see rounds where, I mean, look, we know Henny and Lucas, they want to just blow your faces off. They want to charge forward, and they want to wreck you. Kind of like this second round. Like, to me, this is the ideal world for the most of these individual players. But there are times on certain maps where you can see Steel trying to reel them in a bit, trying to play with structure and a system and layers. And I don't know if that always necessarily kind of plays into their strengths. Now, one thing that I think definitely does is this double op setup that we're going to consistently get between Yell and Henny. That, to me, is when I think Luminosity are kind of on their strongest point. And, I mean, hell, if they can come to this point in the EPL with such a bad record and turn it around to still get out of that auto-relegation spot, that'll be a good enough win for my books.
See, that's what I was going to ask you about, is that AWP situation within this team. But that's something we can focus on. I think, you know, you've already lost Yell early on, and now Neck is going to fall as well. So that was the AWP dropped almost immediately up here toward the top of Banana. But Lucas, he's actually turned this back on its head. He's found himself a quick double. That's the 2 trades. And now we're back to a 3-on-3. Breezy doing the damage onto Steel. Not quite able to find the frag, though. So he has, however, just paraded his way in towards the A-bomb site. He's now locking this down, and the bomb started to head back around. They only have to worry about Steel, and he's already been brought down to 33 HP from Breezy earlier on, and they know exactly where he is.
This is an interesting one. I mean, you ask yourself, right, what is the best move here for NRG? Do they try to go clear out Steel before the bomb plant? Do they just express lane the plant instead and play within the after plants they can afford themselves? Because if they can throw a couple bodies in pit, it's not going to matter that Steel is actually up here. He had to find impact prior to the bomb going down, prior to them to getting those after plants. But in fact, they haven't gone to those positions here, Harry. Daps actually sits back, tries to watch truck lane, and that works out fantastically for him. It's after the bomb is planted that Fugly most certainly will eject into pit. So sure, Steel, looking for impact, is going to find nothing for his efforts. And even Lucas, who's just moving around B, down into the T-spawn, he's found enough to figure out that this round is NRG's.
Yeah, and so the thing I was going to ask you is, you know, this double AWP potential, obviously, that you have between Yell and Henny. You know, I was a big fan of Yell back when you had the old school roster with, you know, Cello and co in it. He was really the standout player in that roster. Now, obviously, bringing in the, you know, the twins, the brothers, rather, the Lucas and Henny, surely that creates a bit of an awkward dynamic because, you know, I feel like with both of them, it's pretty essential you're going to have those AWPs between these two guys. I'd argue there's quite a big skill distribution between them on the rifle and them on the AWPs. Does that ever prove to be a limitation? And who's the primary AWPer of this team?
It tends to be Henny. I feel like Henny's picking it up more often than Yell, but it's also very fluid. That's the thing is whenever there's a double op setup, it's going to be Yell picking it up second after. But there are times where I think based on a spawn or based on a certain positioning, where Henny will pick up a rifle instead. And I would say that the gap between their op play and their rifle play, this is a big claim, but I'm going to say it's at its all-time low. I'm going to say that these players as riflers have actually impressed me. I don't see like an utter weakness, you know. No offense to him, but it's not like a JDM where you give him a rifle and there's a clear you know decline in performance. I do think they're much better with the ops because it serves their purpose and it matches their play style. Flashy, quick, shoulder peeks, those sorts of kinds of moments. But let's watch Henny. I mean, this is a prime example, right? He's on the M4, he's got no utility, and he still walks in for a very swift headshot. Contains the spray long enough for Lucas to get the trade frag. And there's Yell with one as well. Headshot into Daps. 3 versus 2 here from Luminosity. Even though they didn't have an op, they had limited utility, and they're still trying to maintain both sides of the map, but it's really A that's in question. Fugly gets himself an entry, gets that one step closer, and even with still slightly blind, he's fine. It is just Ethan left over.
Yeah, but Ethan is very talented in these clutch situations. He's up in the apartments right now. He's going to tag up Neckers. 30 seconds left, and both players inside of this A-bomb site. He spots out Steel. Going to take this light, flashes himself in. Steel going to drop down into mini pit. Ethan trying so hard to isolate these fights. They do have a bit of a crossfire set up. He's going to look to hop on down, but so much damage being done, and Steel is there to put the final nail in the coffin of NRG in this round. Luminosity finding themselves a third, getting off to a good start here on their CT side.
This is good for them as well. I feel like I've always just been more impressed with Luminosity's T sides because they can kind of set the precedent. They can set the pace. But they're improving on the CT sides, which is nice because obviously you need both halves in order to pick up wins.
The only thing, yeah, I mean, the quite big question to me, and you know, to me it proves your point that if you've been impressed with their T sides that much, you know, double AWP T side just isn't a thing. So, you know, on some maps, maybe.
They pull it out pretty often. I mean, really? I think it plays into the maps that we tend to see them on.
Yeah, right.
You know, not obviously double op T side on here on Inferno, but they definitely make it work on Dust too.
Yeah. That's what I'm excited to see, though, when we have the money there for Luminosity to grab these AWPs on their CT side. That's where we get to see this competition really come into its own between these two teams. Off to a good start now, though. NRG stacking up, going to start to aggress into these apartments. Slowly but surely, edging on forward. Flash on in from Cirque. Ugly actually going to run around before the flash even pops. That catches Lucas off guard. He was playing anti-flash. Breezy, fully blind, spraying, and it's going to run out of ammo. Steel, though, similar situation down in the pit, does go darting out of their own smokes, and that's going to be Cirque to find him as a result. Just Breezy. Old Gary and Beast left up for NRG. And already all these players for Luminosity here knocking on the door of this T side. The bomb does get across, and it is going to go down to Cirque and Breezy in the afterplant 2v3.
Breezy at any moment can come over this piece of ledge, and that would give him vision down lane. However, it's under the bomb site that Yell's already gotten his feet, and wow, a second one. The rifle work superb. Breezy didn't stand a chance. Ripped clean off, 4-1, Luminosity. Beautiful retake. I mean, they get themselves closer and closer, and Breezy had such a real chance with that pit position to try and cut them down, but by the time he actually gets his vision upwards, well, they're already so close. They're already pushing into the bomb site, and that's the thing, is they dealt with Cirque first. So Cirque's attention never pulled back into where the first fight came from. Poor guy blindsided, but look at this, Harry. An artillery barrage from NRG. 5 frags, smoke and a flash on top of it. I feel bad for the B players. If they had walked forward, but it's not the case. They sit back, relax, and anticipate the walk-up, or rather maybe sprint. It is NRG gunning forward, but they've been all gunned down. Bomb thrown out into the open, Cirque left over, and he's no more. That's an easy fifth for LG.
Yeah, I think something important to bear in mind as we head into this game, Luminosity getting off to a great start. NRG, now you mentioned their hectic schedules, 30 maps, something ridiculous. I don't even remember in what time frame that was, but the important thing to realize is they just lost 2 games over in ECS versus MIBR just moments ago. So that was on Train and Mirage, 2 12-16 losses to you know, the other kind of big Brazilian team. Brazilian, you know, in air quotes, because yeah, it's not entirely made in Brazil now, but this round looking good for NRG. Steel and Yell, the only 2 players left up, and actually Steel holding here could drop the bomb as it looks to come up through alt mid. They gotta hope he doesn't head into apartments, and indeed he does not. So Steel, sadly the timing going to get the better of him there. The bomb has crossed and is going to look to now get into this bomb site, but still he's got the element of surprise. They've got no idea. No one's keeping an eye on the apartments. Fugly, like he was going to try and check it, and he does keep his eyes open. Daps finds one more, and NRG going to be picking up their second round.
It's a good one as well. It comes very convincing. That's the kind of round that puts you back in the game. But obviously, in order to sustain the buys and the comeback, we've got to see them convert some points. And here's the double op setup. Yell and Henny going to have it. If I'm not mistaken, that's the first time this half from Luminosity.
Yeah.
So, second sniper in play. They're going to split them. Yell consistently banana, Henny always on the A site. It's a key piece consistently to LG's success. The sniper rifles.
Yell gets pretty lucky. That nade doesn't do a lot of damage, but I tell you what it does. That was Cirque and Ethan tagging him down. Lucas, in the meantime, going to go ahead and drop one. Then his brother elsewhere going to go ahead and delete Breezy as well. So he might have been brought down to his knees. Oh, sorry, Yell might have been brought down to his knees early on, but they've certainly done damage back in abundance. Now there's push coming in towards the B bomb site. Yell going to get burnt out. It falls onto Neckers to try and delay this take, and Ethan finds the double on the entry. So much damage done on the back of the utility, but the bomb's still going to go down, and it's a 3v3 retake here for the Brazilian squad.
I mean, that's a couple of immaculate headshots. He does so much damage that this retake actually looks viable. I mean, normally you see 3 CTs versus 3 terrorists, and when the retakers only have a single smoke, no kit, you think surely this won't happen. But because of those 2 headshots onto Ethan and Cirque, Neckes makes this so possible. I can't wait for the replay of that, because it's one of those moments where he's just looking to do something, and he manages so much substantial damage. Now, the round's still not won, but the CTs are on the bomb site, and still, they aren't entirely successful. He's going to tap it, and he's trying to get the peek from Daps, which he does punish, but there is no time, even with Neckes' best efforts. It is NRG with a third, but cue that to the highlight reel.
I'm really hoping that we get to see it now and that. Oh, well, you know what? It's engraved in your memory, it's engraved in mine, and it's certainly engraved in the minds of Luminosity as well. It was a nice attempt from Neckes. Sadly, you don't give out participation awards here. You don't get a replay just for doing damage, Connor. You've got to earn it. He needed to get those kills. He needed to save the round for Luminosity if that was going to be entered into the plays of the week, and it's certainly not going to. So NRG finding their third round there on the back of those kills, and now 5 players up. Obviously everyone dying for NRG means the money's still down low, but it's no better for Luminosity. They're just taking the eco here, gonna look for the buy in the next.
For the record, when this map's done, I'm not moving from this caster desk until I see that replay. So,
oh dear,
Marcus, whoever else is out there, make it happen, or there'll be prices to pay.
Fireman demands now. Connor, you've changed. Here's a slow play from NRG. This is a chance for them to build up some money, Connor.
It's all fluff, Harry. I'm just puffing my chest, you know?
Yeah.
Like the smallest birds try to make themselves look big. That's what this is a case of.
See, what is the smallest bird?
I don't know. Probably like a chickadee.
I don't know what that is.
Oh.
I don't even know if that's real.
Yeah, that's definitely a bird.
It sounds it. I mean, if you just came up with that now, you should
chickadee.
write children's books.
It's because it makes a certain type of chirp, and it sounds like it's saying chickadee.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience here in the NA broadcast. Connor, do you always just have all these animal facts to hand? Were you a zoologist in a past life?
No.
Maybe a vet in a current life?
I feel like I'd be more useful if I was a zoologist. Like, you know, I can tell you some things about animals, but I can tell you much more about Counter-Strike.
That's probably true. I don't know. You've impressed me with your animal knowledge, Connor.
For all you know, I'm making everything up. That's what I always tell Mohan. Never assume I'm right. But if you say things with confidence, people will believe you. I mean, it's gotten me this far.
That's true. That's a life lesson right there. You know, more knowledge being dropped here on the NA broadcast. And you know what else is being dropped? Rounds for NRG. They go out and find themselves a fourth there, starting to claw their way back into this game. But now the buy comes in for Luminosity. They are going to have one of those AWPs up on Henny. Lucas doesn't have armor behind that M4, so that's something that might come back to punish him, especially with the Mac 10 still up on Daps.
You call them Mac Daddies. We've been adopting the term Smack 10s.
I like that. Smack 10s, yeah. I'm trying to think of a better one. I'll try and work on that. You focus on this round as trades going left and right. Ultimately, Luminosity in the driver's seat, though.
Hold your horses, Harry. We're left back into the 2 versus 2, and it's so separate. I mean, Luminosity, they win that duel towards Banana. They trade out efficiently. They had some trades actually rolling inside of apartments. They had this really nice setup that I always like to see, where you have one player committed to the corner of Balk and then another opper just next to him. So any terrorists that come up this staircase Steel's standing on kind of get pulled into the sniper. They try to fight, and next thing you know, there's 2 guys ready to go. But Steel, I mean, he gets way more than he could ever hope for. The bomb is thrown out as he does catch one player trying to join Breezy on the bomb site. So Breezy, luckily he's got time. You know, he can be a little cautious here. He can check out all the corners and make sure he gets this device back on his pockets. But here's the downside. All the while, Luminosity have put themselves side by side and gotten back into A. At this point, Breezy could run B. The time is there. Just throw it all to the wind. That's exactly what he's going to do. So now when the retake moves forward here, Harry, it's 2 CTs with low HP. They've got a little bit of utility, but no kit currently on them. Breezy's going to get the chance to not only plant, but choose the after plant position of his liking.
Yeah, this is where I'm left scratching my head a little bit here from Luminosity. They make that decision to play it safe and team back up in the 2v1. But in doing so, they've handed control back of the bomb to Breezy. He's still sitting on 100 HP. They do have the Molotov on Steel, and that's something that could look to keep Luminosity in this round. If they throw that over here, and he will be forced out of the open, so Breezy has to hope that they go ahead and hedge their bets, throw that out sometime too soon. He hasn't revealed himself yet, and he has landed the 180 onto Yell, but now they know exactly where he is. That Molotov's still up on Steel, but Breezy's gonna do it despite being tagged down so low. He's able to land the clutch, a 1v2, and now NRG soaring forward onto a 5th round. So in spite of Steel going aggressive, in spite of him dropping the bomb in the apartments and it feeling like that round was Luminosity's, it still falls short in the end. And now we're all tied up with no money left for the Brazilian squad.
You know, I was thinking to myself, how does Breezy play this? Because he had 2 flashbangs on him, and, you know, he didn't know where the enemies were. So that's why he plays it safe. He smokes off the CT cross and, of course, covers his plant. At any moment, he could have been struck down by someone in construction. So he has to play that portion safe. I kind of second-guessed the fact that he went behind Stewbox with the 2 flashbangs, because all that does is give the full control to Luminosity. You see the way they come charging forward onto the bomb site, and, I mean, you kept mentioning the Molotov because that could have made all the difference. At any point, Luminosity could have chucked that into the back of Emo or on his position, and had that happened, I don't think he gets out of there. Unfortunately for Luminosity, they don't decide to use it, and so he takes the gun duels at his own pleasure and pace. On top of all that, had they gotten a little too close, he could have started bouncing those flashbangs off the wall and eventually, you know, kind of increase the chances of winning. But man, a Molotov, I think, makes a completely different outcome, and, well, that's not what happens. And the round is over. This round has begun, and there's not many guns within it. Just pistols. So a boring one from Luminosity. They go for the gamble stack into the A site. They'll be met by nobody, because NRG feel out B, and are happily planting bomb.
Yeah, Luminosity likelihood is they don't even bother moving. They're just going to sit over here towards A. Let NRG take this 6th round under their wing, and indeed they will. I mean, it has been, once again, a bit of a back and forth affair, but these last few rounds have all gone the way of NRG. This will be their 5th in a row. Luminosity kind of in desperate need of starting to try and get back into this game now, because we can see money building up on this T side as well. That's a scary problem for Luminosity to have. And then also you look at this team, you look at Yell and Henny, you know how strong that double AWP is, but they very rarely have had the economy to actually field it. And that could be one of the big difference makers for them here on Inferno. Now, they're going to have the money in this round, and the likelihood is we're going to see them break that out, because they haven't had too many opportunities to run it. So time to rejoice. Indeed they do. Double AWP's purchased up, just AKs across the board for NRG.
This is one of the difficult things about their CT sides, is that when you're consistently running that double AWP setup, you need to always go with those full ecos, right? So I feel like I haven't watched Luminosity kind of win their eco rounds ever. You know, every once in a while you'll get those kinds of upsets, but it's hard for LG because they always seem to conserve their cash, which puts all the importance on the actual gun round. So good for them. At least effectively trading this duel towards B and then going for second servings. But that's what happens when you get your hand caught in the cookie jar. Cirque trades you yet once more, and a 3v3 is not a good look for LG. Aha! But that certainly is. 3v1 out of nowhere. 2 separate engagements, both of which untradeable. Fugly's here in spawn. They just killed a player in the mid push and banana. What's going on with NRG? Normally they play as a unit.
Yeah, but speaking of absolute units, Fugly's still up, and he's aggressing up through banana. He's not in search of more potassium, though. He's looking for steel, and sadly, he's going to get put down. So Luminosity is 6th round of their name. All tied up now, and that AWP going to be carried forward into this one. Does reduce that cost at that much more. We get to the double AWP back into for Luminosity. Over on the side of NRG, they have plenty of cash. They can go for the investment, but you were bang on, kind of pointing out, you know, the lack of trade potential there from this NRG side. You know, this squad headed by Daps, team that love to play together, love to play off of one another. Very unlike them to lose in such a manner. Also, an uncharacteristic miss coming in from Cirque earlier on when we did finally see him get that AWP in hand. Now he's got it back out in this round, but he didn't exactly inspire confidence in me based on what we saw in the previous.
I think it was James who on the desk mentioned that statistically speaking, Cirque is actually the weakest player on Inferno. Maybe I misheard him, but I thought that's what he said. And you know, I feel like here's the thing: is you can be an incredible AWPer, but everybody has their favorite and least favorite maps, right? Everybody has maps where you know all the angles, you feel more comfortable in certain positions. I mean, we saw Cirque yesterday on Nuke. And on the T side of Nuke, Harry, he dropped something like 25 kills in probably like the first 10 rounds. It was ludicrous. So a cooler night for him so far. And maybe it does just come down to this particular map. But it's not an easy place to be an AWPer either, right? We all know that. And then on top of it, you've got guys like Henny and Yell on the other side. So best of luck.
Yeah, I do think a lot of the AWPers we see fall off on this T side. Yell, gonna miss that opening shot. Neck is this time only good for 1 kill and not gonna do too much damage either. Yell would love to deny this bomb plant, and that's almost on the money, but close. No cigar as that bomb does go down. It's a 4v4 in the retake here for Luminosity. Double AWP as well is always something to bear in mind, and that is less than ideal to say the very least. Still a decent bit of utility on the side of the Brazilians, but they just have to back away, look to try and save. It's too much to ask of these 2 AWPs in the retake to get anything done. The smoke's still not yet dissipated, and they decide to write this one off and let NRG take themselves the lead.
Yeah, right. We talk about the affordability of the double ops is not consistent. So if you're faced with a potential save, just go for it. There's no reason to throw it away nonchalantly. You use the expression close but no cigar. Do you know where that comes from?
I don't, but I'm going to learn something else.
Yes, you are. So, it's believed that actually comes from when, you know, kind of like county fairs and circuses were popping up in North America, that the prizes for the games was actually cigars. So you could be close to winning, but you didn't get the cigar.
There we go. That's a nice little knowledge bomb. How prizes have changed. It used to be cigars. Now it's hundreds of thousands of dollars or chicken dinners. We've really evolved as a people since then. Here is Lucas already going down early on. Yell going to try and take the mantle over here. Banana. That said, damage done in return. Going to come in from Cirque. And it does tag up Neckers. We'd love to have found the trade, though, and retaken that man advantage for NRG. They're going to turn their attention into this A bomb site. And right now, there's only one man here. That man is Henny, and he's got a lot on his plate. Not quite hungry enough for the task just yet. And they do manage to get out into this bomb site. That plant going to come through. And once again, Connor, same as what we saw in the previous round. It's going to be a 4v4 retake.
Yeah, in the previous round as well. We saw them walk away from this, not opting to fancy their chances, but you're running out of rounds to really make this happen. I mean, 2 left over. Still, the cash isn't there, and they will let this one slide. That's an 8 for NRG. I mean, we're being faced with a wave of pacifism in Counter-Strike, you know? We're not about killing one another. If you just lose one player, that's enough violence. Let's call the round a quit. I think it really does boil down to the affordability of the snipers and making sure you have full utility. Very important on all maps, but most certainly Inferno. I mean, I always say this, like, take 5 seconds to look at your radar and realize how 90% of this map can be blocked off by a single smoke or a single incendiary. And that's when you start playing with a lot of the timings as well, when you can so consistently block off pathways, deny map control with utility. These are the fine-tuned details of competitive Counter-Strike, and you don't want to neglect them for the sake of attempting difficult retakes, you know? We don't half-ass things here at the ESL Pro League.
Yeah, we whole-ass things, which that isn't quite like the best saying I've ever come up with, but it's not the worst either. It's quite telling. Here's Daps managing one. Actually, Breezy gonna burn in a Molotov up in the apartment. So 4-on-4 right now. Cirque battling his way up through mid. 3 players for Luminosity inside of this A bomb site, so NRG looking like they might walk into the more stacked of the 2. Lucas with this deagle, can he get anything done? He's going to get flashed in. Oh, there's a lot of bullets firing his way, but he does somehow still pick up Daps in the process. Steel's flashed off the angle here in Graveyard. He's going to try and put some bodies in this Graveyard, though, and Ethan able to answer back. It's Cirque and Ethan, 2 of the hard hitters here for NRG, left up, and Yell now trying to clutch with his AWP in hand.
Yeah, no utility, but does have the kit. So that one last round for Luminosity possible. By playing on Arch side, I think he's going to swap to the op and try to clear pit. That's what I would do. But of course, it's going to take somebody over facing. Now he's been spotted. Ethan confirms. He decides to try and jump into the site, knowing that was about to happen. The double peek to secure the final round. I love these flybys at the end. It's always perfect when the round actually ends, where they're positioned.
And it always feels like it does. It's always like it's by design.
Yeah. This was the pistol. This was... Oh, wait. We have to wait to see if the Neckers clip is in here. We're looking for Neckers on new box, B bomb site. Watch the dings.
That one's not quite it.
Come on.
I'm waiting now. I'm invested, Connor.
Me too. I would break my concentration, but then we'll miss it.
Well,
I'm disappointed in you all.
That's it. Headphones off, and Connor is walking out. He's left the building.
It's okay. Rush apologized, so I'll take the personal apology as a win.
We know if you know, Rush was observing and not having to produce, it probably wouldn't be an issue.
I mean, I'm just saying. I think Tom Eric might have found it. Jokes aside, it was cool. I'm gonna go find it myself.
Also, I just realized you guys are spoilt with observers here. We have DJ and Heather.
Yeah.
Observing this over on the EU stream. We just have. I know, we had Rush, I think, at one point. That was terrible.
Are you saying that you don't like the in-house observing? Because I think Marcus does a great job.
Marcus does a great job, sure. But you know, I'm on about Bastion.
Oh, that's true. That's true. You have Bastion. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ooh. We are lucky.
Just throwing our colleagues under the bus.
Better them than us.
Exactly. That's a nice rhyme.
Here's the real thing, right? Is the fact that we can sit here and and say things about them, but in reality, our jobs are in their hands. You know, they could throw us on camera right now. They could take embarrassing angles. They could do all sorts of things. So let's not poke the beast. Production, we know you're in charge of the show. You're the ones that really matter here. But so does this pistol. And because of that, we're going to hone in on the gameplay, which does feature a massive banana push from NRG. They just go charging downwards. They're trying to get behind this execution that Luminosity just as rapidly throw into A. They've got smokes behind them, but it's the plant that's going to be crucial, because now things slow down. Fugly and Breezy not currently holding on to a kit and coming in from two separate directions. It's very important that that swift headshot occurs, because Breezy's going to use the chance to get into the site itself. But that's where he dies, Harry. And then Fugly follows suit.
Yeah, the NRG boys going to get overwhelmed there. Luminosity finding themselves the pistol, and that's something they've looked reasonably keen in. Able to win it out very convincingly as well over on their CT side, if you recall. It was a complete and utter slaughter then as well. So a chance here to try and springboard themselves back into a decent position. Are those odds right? That looked very wrong. I think that means you would lose money if you bet on NRG, even if they win.
My eyes were closed.
It was 0.04.
I don't do math.
Yeah, me either. But I don't. Oh well, you know, I'm just gonna trust in Betway. There we go. I was gonna say that was wrong. That meant if you bet on NRG and they won, you would still lose the fight. Yeah, we just hate NRG over at Betway.
You know what they say? The house always wins.
Yeah. But you know, the wonderful folks over at Betway, they get those odds fixed nice and quickly. And Luminosity 8-9 is the scoreline right now. The odds still leading in favor of NRG, but Luminosity certainly closing this gap, making it feel competitive now and getting the NRG guys hot under the collar.
I wonder what that saying comes from. Hot under the... Actually, you know what? I don't know if that's family friendly. So we'll move along. As will Luminosity. With 3 SMGs and 2 AKs, rapidly trying to establish themselves here at Banana. They smoke off the Molotov, which just kind of slows them down. Does give some quick positioning to Nekaz, and maybe he anticipates a little bit of a boost. Oh man, read like a book, but unfortunately, it's still the CTs within their nook, hiding just to the right side. Nekaz now knows they're up close, but he's so afraid to round this corner without the potential to trade, and I don't blame him. So the follow-up utility seems to be enough to convince Luminosity elsewhere.
And actually, they're saying hot under the collar, Connor. Oh, that's a bit of a tongue twister. Went ahead and Googled it for you. It's not as bad as you think. It's literally just if someone becomes kind of angry or maybe stressed, there's the idea that their face gets red, they get physically hotter, and then they sweat on their collar.
Oh, that's why I wear collarless shirts.
Because then you're never hot under the collar. And you're a very angry man, Connor. You know, you're always red in the face, you're always sweating. But,
just because I'm easily excited, Harry. I keep trying to call you Hugo.
Yeah, it does. I keep almost calling you it too, so I'm glad, you know, he's on both of our minds for some reason. Here is... I was going to say what looks like this B play, but no, Nekaz is here selling this fake, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. He's kept 2 players from NRG in this position. While the rest of Luminosity have their eyes firmly set on this A bomb site, set up outside of it now. Daps with the AUG is going to fall short. Henny able to pick that up, and now Breezy from inside the pit trying to buy time. Does have Cirque to bail him out. Little bit of damage done. There's only 7 seconds left, and Breezy's doing an utterly fantastic job of holding off this bomb site. Try as he might from inside of the pit, he does lose Cirque, but these 2 remaining players both tagged down so low. This will be the round going the way of NRG as they reach double digits. Now going to go up 10-8.
You know, I always try to argue that Fugly is like the best anchor on NRG. He's kind of ZipX-esque in the sense that you can leave him alone and he'll just do the hard job. But man, Breezy's getting so much better at doing that kind of play as well. He's consistently inside of that pit, picking up multi-kills. I really like to see it, and because that's just an argument for Breezy's development as a player, right? We're no longer at a time where like Breezy and Ethan are new pickups. They've been on the middle to top end of the North American Pro League now for what feels like a year at least. So, you know, we're watching them develop, we're watching them grow, and they're becoming instrumental players. I like it. I like it a lot. Deep grenades this round from Luminosity, or NRG, excuse me, keeps Luminosity back. They're not going to be able to get as close as they did in the previous round. Cirque, over here towards Archside, cannot manage a single frag, even despite the substantial damage. Daps lingering around. You don't want to lose that life and offer up the 3v5, but now he confirms, yes, they have moved past Arch, they could be in Library, but they're more than likely wrapping the site because NRG have players in CT, and Breezy sees them here within the bomb site itself. So Daps doubles back, and he can't contain the Balk drop, but at least the bomb's been thrown down. NRG, they're doing an excellent job of keeping this in the face of Luminosity, where they will win out in the end. A 3K from Fugly, 1 from Breeze and Daps, but that's all you need to grab an 11.
And one thing I've been loving about this NRG CT side is how quick and fluid these rotations are. You know, you think about Inferno, you think about the situations we see teams so often run into on this map, and that is these big CT side saves where you lose a bomb site so quickly that you just have to go ahead and save. You've got no other choice. We saw it happen to Luminosity time and time again. And NRG, they've had no such issue. I also think a big part of that, not only is these rotations being so quick, but the ability of the players inside of these bomb sites to do such a good job at holding the fort, not just giving it up at the first fuel, not just letting that bomb go down straight away. Now you think about this round, you had Breezy and Daps overstaying their welcome, especially Daps, you know, winning that fight out over towards short. You pointed out the information that he gains there. All of it culminates into a very, very nice round from NRG. Luminosity now, it's back to the drawing board, and they've now gone for the artillery setup. The mortar shells are here. Can they get anything done with these nades?
The screaming meanies. They go flying forward into the B site. No Molotov to actually slow this down, but still it gets separated. Maybe there was a molly, but it just got past the first two. Not actually at the feet of the bomb site, but rather within Banana. My God. An utter decimation and a declaration from NRG. This CT side is here to stand tall and strong. But that's, of course, versus Pistols. It's back into the guns for Luminosity, and it is here that they will contest things. With no op, it's the 5 Kalashnikovs. Only Cirque wielding the cannon.
Aggression from Eaton into Banana, and actually both players going to get brought down to their knees. Fugly tagged to 19 HP rather. Runs the gauntlet through those Molotovs, and oh, Nekiz is there, but he hasn't checked logs, and as a result, he's going to get chopped up. Daps finds one more. That's 2 players down now for Luminosity, and they're still trying to deal with Fugly. The utility's raining in, but they can't seem to find him. He's just so slippery. And even then, his nade dunks down. Oh, Yell and Henny. So much so that it's caused me to have a stutter.
There's worse things to have. Like a third eye. Or 11 toes.
I mean, 11 toes is like, I think people actually just sometimes have that, but a third eye is really, I don't even know where that came from. Has anyone ever been born with a third eye?
No, I mean, it must happen. It must. But what a brawl we've been getting in these most recent rounds. Harry, this one, I think, like with the frag grenades both directions, Daps getting that backstab into Nekiz, it's just getting frantic, you know? And that's the thing is, I think Luminosity, they don't mind these chaotic situations. I think they thrive within chaos. So, obviously, this round in particular, they're left at a disadvantage. 2 of their players lit, just like those on NRG. Fugly and Daps hang on by a thread of health. And both of those players are in fact here at the B site. So, if Luminosity can clear them quickly, then all of a sudden, you're going to be having yourselves what would think to be a difficult retake. But they managed to stay alive, and with 8 seconds left on the clock, they can now throw themselves inwards, denying the bomb plant. No, it goes down just in the nick of time. Cirque with a flick downwards. He didn't even see him, Harry. That's not supposed to happen, but it's so fun to watch. And now let's see if Henny can do anything with 2 HP. Only 1 frag for him, and a 13th for the CT side.
Yeah, this NRG CT side is definitely a beast that Luminosity just cannot seem to deal with. They will have a buy coming in this following round, but it's not going to be great. You can already see the money. You're going to be looking at a very cash-strapped buy here. Likely going to have to take a hit, and tactical pause called on in. You imagine largely to try and, you know, figure out how best to approach this round. Do you go for the eco now? You know, just partially invest, perhaps, have more to work with into the next, or are we going to see Luminosity all in this one? They're going to have to make some sacrifices somewhere. Here's the replay from Cirque. What? I don't even...
It looks like he shoots before he flips.
Yeah, I know. He's the fastest man alive.
He's bending bullets.
Seen the film Wanted?
Nope. They bend bullets, though.
Yeah, they
know
do
that
bend
much.
bullets.
And that's not possible, Harry.
Well,
Not without a strong wind.
or just like a vice. But then it's less impressive because then you're literally bending bullets.
Hey.
There we go. Yeah, I changed the way you were looking at that. Look at this, though. Luminosity, they've gone in with the buy. It's rifles across the board. There's only 3 smokes, though, for them to work with. Not a single flashbang, not a single nade. Forget bells and whistles. They're lucky to even have tires on this bicycle.
Whistles on a bicycle.
I just had to try and figure out what that saying is in reference to.
Who knows? Who knows? Right now, all I know is that we've had this consistent trade fragging happening on Banana. If there's been any kind of, clash of players, it's happening on Banana first, and then we'll get into the potential A splits. We'll get into those B executions, but Breezy has managed himself 2 kills here towards Balk. It's on Daps to find Steel, the last man up with Bomb. And he's actually dropped the first smoke, enabling him to cross towards site. The second smoke goes a little deeper, and he's got a minute to play with. So I wouldn't be shocked nor surprised if Steel opts to try and cut down the numbers of NRG prior to the plant. He fakes it once, there's the headshot. Swift execution of Daps. Damien down. And now the options are open. Steel could wrap around Archside. I mean, hell, he might even find Ethan with his head turned. Or is it the other way around? It is, in fact, Steel who looks away. So 14th for NRG. Again, coming at a cost, not only in casualties, but health. These are very narrow margins in between the success of NRG or LG.
Still as close as that last round was. The majority of them have looked relatively clean for NRG. They still have decent cash banked up on the CT side, and that's the biggest issue if you are Luminosity. You're not in that situation where you can just win one round and suddenly you've got NRG onto an eco. They're going to have to grind this map out now if they want to come back, and based on what we've seen thus far, I'm not sure Luminosity have what it takes to do that. They're going to be running into rifle rounds now for the next few versus the NRG guys, and thus far NRG have been almost completely in control of the situation on this CT side.
This is sort of what happened yesterday, Harry, with Luminosity's Inferno game. Was like at the beginning of the half it looked decent, and this time it was only the pistol and conversion. Yesterday they actually had some really successful B hits, but they were so sloppy, they were so chaotic. The smokes weren't down on the cross, they were just looking for gun duels. It wasn't something that they were consistently able to rely on in order to close a half, and now that's happening again, but it's being shut down even more so. NRG's CT side here on Inferno is really fun to watch.
Yeah, most definitely, right? And a lot of that is all going to be on the back of Cirque being a lot more free with that orb, being able to throw in some chaos early on. This time, though, they have found Fugly at least at the top of Banana.
Through smoke.
So, yeah, that's going to be a nice gifted man advantage the way a Luminosity one they weren't really accounting for, but they've got it nonetheless.
But I think it takes actual structure to kind of offset Breezy. I don't think it's the kind of player that you can just straight up aim duel with, because if you're not using utility to make him uncomfortable, he'll use his to do that to you. So he's inside of the pit, Daps is nearby, and you can already see NRG moving that third piece over towards Arch. Why? Because Cirque has eyes down Banana, and he's not seen anything for quite some time now. We're slowly watching Daps retract closer towards pit. That would be a double up from NRG. And we know this is already such a strong position with one player, let alone 2.
Yeah, 2 heads are better than 1. 3 eyes better than 2 as well. Henny going to be keeping an eye along, but then there's Cirque, the real Cyclops of this B bomb site, homing it down as he picks up that first frag onto Neckers. This has tempted the rotation out from Ethan. So this leaves Long and Arch side open right now. Luminosity could be able to wrap, but they've only got 20 seconds. There's no time for that. They have to commit to this A bomb site. And now Breezy and Daps have to continue this good form. And they're going to go ahead and drop the anchor. Breezy hiding in this smoke. Wrapped on round. There's only 7 seconds left. And he's going to go ahead and cement that match point round for NRG. They just cannot topple the pit men, the pit crew, in the form Breezy and Daps.
Yeah, you see what I mean there, where like nobody's actually burning him into the open. I believe that may have been his own smoke, just kind of put down on lane. It enables him to, even if it wasn't his, to jump into it, kind of work around. It's like this idea of a defensive smoke, right? Generally, you think smoke grenades, they're going to be used for those executions. They're used to block off rotators. But what's really fun about CT-sided smoke grenades is that you either use them to, you know, prevent entrance or give yourself at least kind of temporary penetrable cover. You walk around them, you find off angles, you can play in close proximity to your opponents, or just stay alive so that Luminosity are constantly thinking while attempting to plant bomb, he is there somewhere. We need to figure him out, and where exactly is he at? No one figured out because he took it into his own hands and walked away with the round. So beautiful CT side from NRG starting to be pieced together. Luminosity have not won a T-sided round since the second of this half. And Harry, that was quite a while ago.
Yeah, it almost certainly was. NRG on a massive round win streak right now, and Luminosity, they're just showing no signs of stopping it. That said, that's a nice find from Yelt. They catch the Bulgarian Bloodhound looking to try and sniff out some players in the apartments. They shut him down almost immediately. So that's now an AWP that can be retrieved as well and thrown over onto Yell or Henny. Daps, he's keen. Able to find one with the AUG, dancing around over here at long. We'll get smoked off for the time being. But we are immediately thrust back into a 4-on-4, so it was looking like a decent start here for Luminosity. Now it gets called into question once again.
Man, but these headshots in mid are crucial. First Daps, then Fugly, just cutting down the numbers of Luminosity. And Nekis, does he clear out the corner? Daps is fully blind. Excellently done here. Not only with the smoke over towards Library, but the team flash enables him to clear it. Puts us into the even ground, but Fugly sprays them. He's got himself the second and an assist on the third. Another round for NRG. There you have it, folks. 16-8. An excellent first attempt from Luminosity. I like their CT side. The consistent double op Harry looked great, but you can't work that double op on the T side, and because of it, they fall utterly flat.
Yeah, they most certainly do. When we started this, you said NRG, they look good, but the system just doesn't quite feel like it works. I have to agree. You saw the cracks emerging there in that T-side half. They would get so close in these rounds. They would get it down to the wire. Ultimately, it's just not enough here.
There was even moments where you get these kinds of, you know, through the smoke type kills. You had a nice, convincing pistol as well from Luminosity, but it's clearly not enough. And NRG continue this spree of absolute online success. I mean, nobody can touch these guys, and that's been the trend. They were known as the onliners, but now they've got those LAN results as well. We'll see you guys on Cash for the second map between these two teams.